The article of suffrage, which the convention will today adopt, does not necessarily deprive a single white man of the ballot, but will inevitably cut from the existing electorate 4/5 of the Negro voters.
Will it not be done by fraud and discrimination?
By fraud, no. By discrimination, yes.
After federal troops withdrew, former Confederates that had been banned by the Reconstruction government from being in office start coming back into office, passing local ordinances, promulgating state constitutions such as that we see in Virginia in 1902 and others that are disenfranchising blacks and pushing them out of public life.
Discrimination. Why, that is precisely what we propose. That exactly is what the convention was elected for. To discriminate to the very extremity of the permissible action under the limitations of the federal Constitution, with a view to the elimination of every Negro voter who could be gotten rid of legally, without materially impairing the numerical strength of the white electorate.
In the area just beside the courthouse, there was a black and mixed-race neighborhood there called the McKee area. This area was seized and black folks were moved out for the purpose of a public park there, which was where the Stonewall Jackson Monument was installed in 1921. So this effectively took what had been a thriving black and mixed-race neighborhood and pushed these folks out in order to make of it a whites-only space that was anchored with this monument to the slaveholding South. The Lee Monument was installed in 1924 in the Central Park area of downtown, and it was established also as a whites-only park. It's as if the state, by erecting and maintaining these monuments, is giving a clear signal.
So in 2012, the Festival of the Book, which is one of our big festivals in Charlottesville, featured Ed Ayers as the big banquet speaker for the luncheon that launches the festival. And he gave a talk that the Civil War really was about slavery. And then he talked about the aftermath of the war. During the 19-teens and 20s, there was the erection of these monuments across the South to the heroes of the Confederacy. And that those statues were put up very clearly as an effort to undo the work of Reconstruction. But as he talked, I thought, wouldn't this be the perfect moment to start talking about these monuments and say, do these really stand for who we are now? And if not, should we move them? But there was this kind of gasp in the crowd when I asked the question. And the next day, the headline in the paper was, City Councilor proposes removal of Confederate statues. And so immediately started getting threats and nasty phone calls. Somebody came into our driveway and plastered Confederate stickers on the backs of our cars. It got ugly really fast.
In early 2016, February or March, I did a story with a Charlottesville high school student who had created an online petition. She wanted to have the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee removed from the park. She said it made her feel uncomfortable. Looking back on it now, the time we were in, early 2016, a presidential campaign that became very divisive was just getting underway. This gave an opportunity for this issue to become a big issue here.
The Civil War was a war about oppressing another race. And so the statue to me is just a constant reminder to Black people that we should be inferior to those that don't look like us. We should be afraid of those that don't look like us. And we should always remember where we came from. If we live in a society where morals, principles, and values mean the most, how can we represent something that didn't stand for any of that?
I've led the call for the creation of a Blue Ribbon Commission to discuss this issue of Confederate memorials in our city that were installed by the government during the Jim Crow era.
And that process created a lot of controversy. There were people that had strong views that the statues were a symbol of a racist past and should be removed, and there were other people that felt strongly that they were important recognition of history and that they should be contextualized rather than removed.
I'll never forget getting several calls, and one of the calls said, well, West Bellamy, everybody thinks you're so great, but we're gonna break you down. We're gonna take your job, we're gonna take your positions, and we're gonna get you off council. And then they were using terms like, Trump is your president now, you're going to obey him, and we're gonna take back what's ours. My inbox was then flooded with every kind of nigger you can think of, being told I'm gonna be hung from all kinds of trees. So is this really about the statues or is this about race?
My name is Jason Kessler, and I'm here on behalf of over 900 petitioners to demand that West Bellamy be removed from his office as a counselor for the city of Charlottesville.
I think what led to the events of August 12th was that this guy named Jason Kessler just happened to live in Charlottesville. He was a white supremacist who had been trying for years in this town to figure out a way to be an agitator and to be recognized. He had participated in the Occupy movement in Charlottesville. They camped out in Lee Park, as a matter of fact, for several months. They kicked him out because he kept talking about violence, and that was not their approach. After they kicked him out, I guess he found a new people in the right wing and got associated with the alt-right.